There we go. Hello, everyone. I'll be in the stage channel just in case, but otherwise you can just feel free to leave it and listen through this live stream. All right, so I am streaming currently. You can see here all of the comments, all of the pull requests. So you can see here there are 2 commits now. Add a git ignore. Let's take a look at this commit. All right. So here we go. We can see this commit. I can take a look. Will our project be translated? They respond, no translations. If we think it's resolved, we can then resolve the conversation. Let's go look at the other commit. Oh, Be the Champ also made additional commits and things. Maybe they changed their mind and added some folders. So, oh, hey, we also want to ignore logs. They added additional things. That also looks good. So this looks good, but let's say I want to request changes. So for instance, I'm just like, hey, I think we're missing a file. Please add dot something, right? Maybe we have a dot something file that we just don't want to add yet. So I can submit that review and it'll request changes. So it can be like, hey, just kidding. I have 1 change requested. So could you please make that change? And that's how you can sort of go through with the Git and GitHub stuff. Yep, and BlueNix brings up a good point here where you want to actually use the review feature, which is generally when you look at the different commits or the different files changed, you can then review it. So git clone will copy over the whole history, including all of the different git commits and the snapshots. It won't just pull down the latest pointer. When you git clone, you're pulling down everything. Yeah. So let's go back to the pull requests. I believe there's a couple more here. So let's merge the git ignore. Let's pretend that I didn't ignore it and we're good. So we're going to merge the pull request. And there are a couple of different options here that you can do. So we have the create and merge commit, squash and merge, and then rebase and merge. I'm just going to do the regular old merge commit. And we're just going to commit the merge. We're good to go. Yeah, we're good. And thank you, Iceman. Yes, I will take it a bit slower. Definitely some lessons learned running this bootcamp that we will improve upon for the future. Okay, so we're just going to keep kind of going through things as questions appear. Feel free to ask. We'll go through it. This is definitely the interactive part of the session. And thank you to all of the helpers and moderators, sort of keeping this together as I figure all of this out. So let's look at this pull request number 5 by Arnav. So Jake looked good. Oh no, there are conflicts. Let's take a look. Yes, if you are a collaborator, you can, so before I answer the conflicting merges, I'll answer a question. So if you're a collaborator, you can set up your GitHub to allow you to just push changes to a branch. You don't have to like fork it and make a pull request back. Generally you want to have a main branch that sort of has all your code. And if you want to merge a branch from there into main, that still requires a pull request. It's just good practice that when you make a branch and want to merge it back into the main one, you make a pull request for that. You could also just commit directly to main. I did that quite a few times for the CodeJam 8 qualifier repository, but that is not recommended. Use branches. Otherwise, you will have a lot of regrets. You'll have to sort of go through rebasing, rewriting history, and all sorts of stuff. Okay, sorry. I was just deleting the stage channel, just so everything is clear. Just to confirm, can you all hear me on YouTube? Okay, thank you, Scofflaw. So let's take a look back to looking at this updated README. So there are conflicting files. Well, first thing we do is let's look at the commits. Okay, look at the updated README. We can view the repository at this point in history. That's the actual commit name of it. And then we can also just copy this file directly. So let's take a look. Oh, this is a change. Cool. So they made a change to the default README. And then they added a merge branch where, thank you so much, I'm not that good. All the credit goes towards all the helpers that helped put together everything. So interesting. So let's take a look at the things. So we can either use the web editor or we can use the command line to resolve conflicts. So you can open it in GitHub desktop or view the command line instructions. I am going to use the web editor. So let's take a look at what the conflicts are. So all of these different things got changed here. So these are conflicting. Someone is trying to add this and said there's here. And there's only one conflict. So we're going to remove this conflict. And as soon as all of the red lines disappear and everything else, we can just be like, oh, okay, so these are the changes I want to keep. These are the ones that I don't. And we can just mark as resolved. And I want to commit this merge. So that just sort of fixed that merge thing completely there. And I can merge it. So let's merge it. Ta-da! So the question, does git clone get snapshots too, or just the head? Git clone will get all of the different snapshots. Each commit, I will do that, thank you. Each commit is a snapshot of your code, and when you git clone, you're copying the whole commit history down. And Spitfire has a good point. The signs of conflict are the arrows. And the conflict happened because someone made a change on one line, and then in a different file or the current version, the same line was overwritten, and the git commit histories don't match up. I thought I added, but let me add it now. You can see what it's going like through adding contributors. So I'm going to go to Manage Access. I'm going to invite a collaborator and invite Nina. These are the ones where there's pending invite. So if you have potentially been invited but not yet, make sure to check your Git settings somewhere or your email, and you can accept the invite. And so here's a couple of different settings we can go with the GitHub branches and things. So you can have your default branch, and then you can also have branch protection rules that you can add, which you might want to do when you're setting up the project. So I can require pull requests before merging. I can require like status checks. I can require that branches be up to date before merging. So if your team is moving fast, and some of you are maybe like new to like using Git, it might be good to require pull requests before merging, or to require status checks where the branch has to be up to date before merging in. That can help resolve some of these conflicts. Because then when the person who is trying to commit is like, I can't pull request because my branch isn't up to date, and they try to update it, and it tells the person, oh my gosh, there are so many issues, they can then resolve it on their end. You can allow force pushes. Don't do this. There are other ways. Don't succumb to force pushes. Don't do it. And then you can also allow deleting branches. So tons of stuff here. Check it out on your repository, and let's go back to pull requests. So you can see all of these updates. Let's take a look at the feature. So this is an interesting way that you can organize your pull requests. You can sort of mark it by feat, which stands for feature. So the other prefixes you can use in titles are like bug fix. So that way, if I'm reviewing this, I can be like, oh, okay, this is a new feature we're adding. We're not fixing bugs. We're not like doing other things. We're not doing like we're not fixing things up in the repo that aren't bugs but should be changed, which is generally called a chore. That way I sort of know the expectation going in here. So no description provided. Generally, you should have descriptions here. And thank you, Jake, for checking it out. And let's look at what the changes are. We click on the commit. And you can see there, Blue Nix, please add a trailing line. So that is a good idea. We're going to... Oh, wait, nope, go back. I lied. Yep. Oh, it's already merged. That's why I can't submit. So you can see there that it got merged while I was working on it. Buster merged it. And you can see there. But let's say, oh no, I absolutely do want a trailing line. I can be like, nope, we're reverting it. Reverting it needs a new trailing line, something like that. So if a change is merged and you're like, oh no, we need to absolutely get that out. We went down the wrong direction. We need to change it. I didn't realize the framework worked a different way. You can revert it in GitHub, and it'll make a new commit undoing those changes. I won't do it now. The merge is fine, but you can do. Issues are a great way for your team to sort of organize different ways to organize your tasks. So let's say I'm going to use Django. Be like, okay, we need to make a new Django website. So we need to add different issues here. So let's make a new issue, and let's say we need to create the boilerplate. I can add some comments here where it's like boilerplate stuff. We need to do X. Make sure you reference Y, some Django documents, things like that. And you can assign people. So that way you sort of know who is working on what, and you sort of have this local repository. So instead of asking in like the Discord channel, who's working on adding in the login? And someone's like, I am. And someone else is like, wait, I thought I was. GitHub allows you to use the issues to sort of figure out what your tasks are and who's working on what. And you can also do like labels. So there's a couple of good default ones here. So you can say whether it's a bug, documentation. You can also add your own labels. So let's do a high priority label. So we'll do P0, highest priority. Yes, I will. And it'll just be super high priority. If an issue has this priority, then we absolutely need to get this right. So you can add your own different labels for your group. And let's take a look here. And let's say that, what are our different issues? I'm going to close issue 1. Please comment here. So, first commit by Mike. Interesting thing within GitHub is you can reference other pull requests or other issues. So you can go closes 1, and it's closing issue number 1 here. And I can comment that. And now all of a sudden you have a reference. You can be like, oh, okay, that's the issue related. It'll create an automatic link to it. And there are times when, because it's referenced with a specific phrasing, like the closes number 1, it'll automatically close the issue when this is merged. I think I definitely messed up the wording for it, though. So you'd have to look that up for sort of what the specific wording for GitHub to be like, okay, what do I need to change the wording to automatically close things or to reference it, things like that. Yep, Spitfire brings up a point where you can do like, hey, this fixes issue number 1, things like that. So very useful for referencing things. What other questions do we have? Oh, here we go. Revert 17, add test.py had recent pushes. That's the one where I was reverting. So that is now a branch, I believe. So you can see here there are 4 branches. These are the different branches within this repository. So we had these different patches, they were updated, and then we had this active branch, which is also mine. I don't think we need it anymore, so I'm going to delete it. And this is sort of where you can track all the different branches. Yep, help wanted, you can see the labels there. Let's take a look at this pull request. Looks good to me, waiting for it to be done. Well, if you're waiting for it to get done, let's merge it. So one thing that you can do is, let's say, for instance, you have one pull request with a lot of commits. And let's say the commits are like fix linting again, fix linting for the last time, I swear, oh God, why can't I lint? And it's like 5 commits and all they're doing is fixing like linting for one change, right? You don't need all of that to clutter your Git history. So one thing you can do is you can squash your Git history. So if someone wants to make a pull request with multiple commits, I can sort of show you what it looks like for squashing different commits, in case at some point you just have a lot of commits for a small change and you can squash it and then you can merge it. Spitfire, sometimes the history needs to be changed. Sometimes when one person just can't quite get their linting right, you don't need that in the history. Yep, so you can see here this has 2 merges, and I don't really need this to be 2 merges, so instead I can be like, let's squash and merge. So instead of Ferris and merge branch main into main, it's just going to be 1. It's just going to be 1 commit. And you can see there, co-authored, because I'm adding in this. When you do the squash merge, you want to make sure that you attribute the commit to the right person. Jake, no. Jake, no. And I can merge it. Yeah. And so when we go to our current code, and you can look, oh, we've had 35 commits. Oh boy. You can see here that this Ferris is actually just 1 commit and not multiple. Yep, pull requests are only a thing when you make it on a branch or a fork. If you commit directly to the branch or to the main branch, like if you commit, that is when you don't need a pull request, because when you commit, you're saying, hey, I'm adding another snapshot to this branch history, whether that branch be main or feature or like cat trunk one or something. But when you actually try to merge it in, this pull request, the better name for a pull request really should be a merge request, because you're requesting it to be like merged in. But GitHub calls it pull request. Who knows? You can think of a pull request as a merge request. That's the better way. That's the better phrasing, I think. Rebase merge. We have quite the README now. Hello, Ferris. So the rebase merge. Let's take a look at that. So as you'll remember when Chris was saying in part 1, the rebase, instead of like pulling it down to merge the main into your feature request and then pushing that back up, so now you'll have like an extraneous like merge thing, the rebase just takes the last changes for the request and just adds it to the back. So it loses some context about like when things were changing, but it just adds the relevant changes. So let's do this init.py. Let's take a look. Oh, no, it's got conflicts. So let's resolve conflicts. So you can see here, there are the different errors, and now it's good. And we're also just going to delete that. There we go. We're going to commit this merge. So although this was made like a while ago, and maybe this branch was updated recently, we can instead rebase and merge. So it's just going to take these 2 commits and add it to the very end. Yeah, that's okay. Thank you, Bluenix, though. It's thinking about it. It's really thinking about it. No? Does it not like it? No. Okay. I can squash and merge, though. I don't need to co-author myself. That's okay. Oh. There we go. And so we can also delete this branch now. So that's a useful feature. Whereas you merge it and it was made on a different branch, that's the only change on that branch that we need, so we can just delete the branch. And you can set up GitHub to do that automatically if you want. So you can see an issue there, enhancement, let's sign our names in readme.md. Very neat. And you can see here, so if I wanted to link this to a pull request, let's say that I wanted to add it to create, even though it's totally extraneous. High priority, yep. Let's say I'm going to be like, hey, this is linked to the creating the contributing MD, because I don't want you to actually update the README, because you should add it to like the contributing.md. I won't go over GitHub Actions. It's a little bit advanced for this and would require a whole lot of prep. So a little bit out of scope for this bootcamp. There are PR templates and issues, which are good to know, but I don't think are necessary for the code jam itself. The code jam is only about 7 days, so it's a little bit harder to create all the templates and use it. So. Okay. Other than that, hopefully you're all sort of set up with Git. You can sort of see how to interact and everything. All that good stuff. And so you can see here that it's, linked to one pull request. Okay, so let's go to the pull request. Oh, you can see there, it's linked to one issue. So you can create links between issues and pull requests there. Yeah, I'm not great at Git. I'm not. It's not a thing. Yep, now it's a feature request. I will remove that, yep. Indeed it was. We'll squash and merge. Or just create a merge pull request. Yep, we're merging it in. Good to go. So are there any other questions we have? Otherwise, I'll sort of let this end. I'll still hang around with people, but hopefully this gave you a sort of an overview of Git and GitHub, how to use it. Please feel free to ask questions if you have any. I like GitHub on light theme. I'm very used to it, and it helps with my eyes. Yep, pull request is just a feature in GitHub. In GitHub, we'll do a couple of things behind the scenes to sort of merge the branches and have everything like that. But pull request is a GitHub thing, not a Git thing. Same with like issues and all of that. These are all GitHub things. We probably won't be covering actions. It's a little bit out of scope for this, although maybe we'll do that in the future. Who knows? And I do appreciate the more experienced people hanging around and helping others. It is appreciated. So thank you to like Wrench and Spitfire and Sophie and all of those other people that I'm not quite seeing, Bluenix, in the chat for sticking around and helping out. Oh, absolutely. Okay, so let me do this. Share screen. Okay, so go over a couple of things here. Let me increase the size. There we go. Now it's nice and cozy. So I am in the CodeJam 8 qualifier repo. I can also look at GitKraken itself and see that I'm in the repository CodeJam 8 qualifier. I'm in branch master. So let's say I want to make changes. So the first thing I want to do is I want to make a branch because I don't really want to work directly to master. That's generally a bad idea. So here I'm going to create a branch here. And I'm going to be GitHub Bootcamp. So this is the nice thing that I like about GitKraken is that this is where I am locally, and this is where Python Discord is, the origin is. So right now, the origin doesn't see this branch. It's only local. So I can work on things locally, and then if I want, when I push them, it'll make a branch to this. So I won't push yet. I don't have anything on the branch yet. So, okay, I have the branch. Let's go check out VS Code. And here it sees, oh, it's already updated it for me. So I'm on the GitHub Bootcamp branch. You can see here. Here are all the file explorer within VS Code. You can see here that I can publish my changes. Not going to yet. And let's take a look at the source control. So here, the source control will show me what changes have been made, and I can sort of stage and commit them. So let's say I want to make a change to the qualifier. We're just going to be a little bit silly here. Cat was here. So I've made that change. I want to save it. I can preview the README as a feature of VS Code. Yep, cat was here. I've verified the changes locally. I've made it. Definitely want this added to the repo. So you can see here the changes. I want to stage the changes. This part is the equivalent of the git add. You can either git add dot to all of them, or you can git add this specific file. And let's say I want to make a couple of other changes, right? Let's say I want to make a new file. That's just test.py. And the only thing this is going to do is print hi. For some reason, I want to add this. So I save it. You can see here that I have one stage changed, which is me confirming I definitely want that, and then one change that I've made, but Git doesn't see it yet. Git isn't tracking it. So if I'm like, maybe I don't want hi, maybe I want the typical hello world. So I can do that. I can save it. It's saved, and let's say, okay, now I want to add it. So I want to say, within one commit, I want to say Janine was her, or cat was her, and I also want to add in this testing file. So this is where I can do, this is the commit title, and if I do shift enter, I can do, this is the commit body. I should add reasoning here for why I made this change. I'm happy with that. That's totally a reasonable commit and title and body. And so I can press this check mark, and that does the git commit part. So as soon as I press this check mark, it'll actually add it to the commit history. So ta-da! I only do local Git in my VS Code. I don't do any integration with GitHub from here. You can add in other extensions, like I believe GitLens is the popular one for actually doing the whole Git and GitHub process through VS Code. That's not really my style, though. So I've made that commit. Sounds good. I'm going to go back to Git Kraken. And you can see here, this is the commit title. Cool. And this is the commit body. So ta-da, you can see it there. And you can see that I've changed the README, and I've added the test file. So if I want to, I can push this. You can also stash changes. That's a thing that we can sort of going through. And I can also make a pull request from Git Kraken. So I can select the from repo, the to repo, the branches, all of that stuff. So you can do everything from Git Kraken, or I can just go, when I push the changes, it'll show the branch in GitHub itself, and I can create the pull request from GitHub. Okay, and we'll talk a bit about public and private repos. For the CodeJam, all of the repositories will be public. That's just a requirement that we have, I think. Maybe not. We'll see. But you can have sort of public and private repos. It happens when you create one. You can set it to private or public, things like that. Okay, so those are everything that I can sort of do. If you have any more questions, feel free to ask in the GitHub Bootcamp. Otherwise, I will be ending this. Feel free to ask around. I believe people are in voice channels, screen sharing, and everything else. Thank you all for sticking along this second session bumpy ride. It is much appreciated. And hopefully you feel a bit better using Git and GitHub. So thank you all, and I appreciate any feedback you can provide as well. Hopefully we can run this session in the future, and we're definitely looking for ways to improve it. So any feedback would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.